Talks, and it's again another one in the series of Meet Your Candidate. Last week we met a candidate for City Council. This week, the first of the candidates for Mayor. Beth, this is Beth Barnes, and why are you running?
Well, I'm almost afraid to say why I'm running because you think it's a very strange reason. I'm running. I'm excited to be running. I feel like I'm doing something for myself. And I also feel like I'm doing something for the community. I feel like it's my time. I have time to be mayor, and I think that's really important.
It is important.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work in being mayor.
Yeah, and I just look forward to using my energy that has been built up over the last 9 years that I've been here to put it towards something really good.
That's great. What have you been doing since you've been in Newport?
Oh, a lot of things, a lot of volunteer efforts. I did a lot of teaching kids in the school to ride bikes safely, to walk safely, cross street safely. I had a very wonderful job at the hospital called Community Outreach Specialist, and it was the first time that they had ever had that job, so I was pretty much allowed to make it whatever I wanted it to be.
And that was community building, right? Community
building, but I took a poll of the pediatricians at the hospital, and well, all the doctors actually, and it always came back to the same thing, that we needed to look at childhood injury prevention, childhood safety in the home. And so I became a member of the Safe Kids Vermont. And so I traveled a lot to Burlington to see what everybody else was doing in the state and how we could use that here in Newport to keep our kids safe. And I was part of Vermont Safe Routes to School. And you may remember, because you used to walk with us.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, we did a walk to school program for the kids. And at the end of that program, the kids who walked every week, we pretended like they were taking a walk on the long trail with every walk they did to school. And at the very end, the ones that walked every week to school, we actually took them to the long trail up at J. And some of these kids had never been on a trail before. And it was so, oh my gosh, we had a bus full of people. And these kids had the time of their life. So, yeah, so that's something that I've done. And I just try to be involved wherever I can. If someone needs help, I delivered Meals on Wheels a couple of times, just kind of pitching in when people need someone to pitch in. And again, it comes back to having enough time to be able to do that.
Right. How do you see your role as mayor?
Well, I see my role as mayor as an ombudsman for the city, that face of the city that people in the city can feel free to approach, and people outside of the city can contact me, and in the spirit of team building and just building community. I see myself as the person that sits in the council chambers at the city council meetings and makes people feel welcome when they come into the meeting.
I'm sorry to laugh. That's sometimes hard to feel.
Yeah, it's not easy to come to a city council meeting if you have something to present. And I think it's really my job and the council's job to make that person feel comfortable and make them feel valued and make them feel like what they have to say is worthy of standing up in front of us and saying it, because everybody has something to say and nobody should feel afraid or intimidated to come into those council chambers. And one thing I'd really like to do is behind the mayor's seat in the council chambers, I'd like to ask the art department at the high school and it's such a talented department, I know, because I've subbed in it.
Amazing.
Those kids are so talented and the teachers are amazing, but I'd really like to have them design a sign that I can put behind the seat where the mayor sits in the council chambers that has my email address on it. So if people aren't able to say what they need to say in 2, maybe 3 minutes, then they should know that they're always free to email me and that I will return the emails. And I think that's also something that we need to make sure is done citywide, that when anyone emails a department within the city with a concern, that they should receive at least an email that says, yes, I received your email. I can't address it today, but I will address it tomorrow.
So you're really talking about a department, an institution becoming responsive.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really neat.
Because we all want to feel, I want to feel valued. I know you do too. And one way to feel valued is not just to be listened to.
Right.
That's easy. The listening is easy, but to really hear someone,
Right.
that takes a special effort. And I want to be that mayor that people feel they can talk to, and it doesn't go in one ear and out the other. I want people to feel like I'm here for them. And I really am hoping that if there is any sense in the city of us versus them, I just think there's no room for us versus them. I think it should just be us moving together into a bright future. In my opinion, there's no room for divide.
Right.
And if one does exist, I would hope that we could bridge that gap together. Together is the word, right, Pam?
Yeah, I would hope so. What about transparency?
Oh,
That's another biggie.
yeah. We work for the community. I think transparency is probably number one. If we can't be transparent, then we don't earn trust.
Right.
I could probably go on and on about that, but I
Please
think that
don't.
probably says it all.
Yes.
That without transparency, there's no trust. And I personally think transparency is something that I am capable of. I know that.
Yeah.
And I will not only hope, but insist that the city governance is transparent.
Right. And the thing with transparency is if it's modeled from the top, then it's so much easier. And as you rightly point out, that's how trust is built. And it is important that we trust those we elect. Not necessarily that we agree with them all the time, because we're never going to always agree. But at least if we can trust that those we elect have the best intentions for the city at heart, and that they have a heart.
Yes,
a beating heart,
I agree.
preferably.
I agree. Yeah, and I know that people would have to trust me enough to know that I would be working diligently on their behalf. I am making it abundantly clear that I'm not a miracle worker. I don't have a crystal ball or a magic wand. I can't be elected mayor and all of a sudden the taxes go down.
Right.
A lot of people have said that, and trust me, I know because I pay
You pay
taxes
them.
too.
Right.
Yes.
No, we'd all like that.
In this position, you
Yeah.
know, as a candidate, I'm not privy to information that goes on behind the scenes.
No.
I don't have all that information. So when
Right.
people say, could you bring down taxes? I can't say, oh, yes, I'll bring down taxes, because it's not a
You don't know.
realistic
You don't
response.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I will work.
I'm sure the other one that you get is do something about the hole. You fix it.
Sure. I agree. I remember the day they took the wrecking ball to
Isn't
that
that incredible?
to that block. Yes,
Yeah.
it was an exciting day because we
know.
thought something wonderful was going to happen.
did.
And now we've been living with the hole. And my feeling about the hole, without spending this whole 20-minute interview, is right now I see the hole as a real economic drainer.
Yes.
And what we need to do is we really need to turn it into an economic driver. And we deserve a beautiful downtown, a whole
We do.
beautiful downtown, not just a half a downtown. I have visions of what I'd love to see there, but I would like to know what has been going on behind the scenes. Maybe things have been happening that the community isn't aware of.
Right.
But I see it. I see the hole a lot, and I know it really needs to be filled,
Yeah.
and I know it needs to work for us.
Right.
And as soon as that starts to work for us, then people will start
Yeah.
to come. It's one of the two most important economic drivers in this city.
What's the other?
Of
for you?
course, the lake, our beautiful Lake Memphremagog.
It's gorgeous.
It's beautiful, and we really have to cherish it. We have to celebrate it, and above all, we have to really protect it.
Right.
Those are three things that are very important to me. Without the lake, it's a beautiful lake, but face it, it is our economic driver. And we've got beautiful Canadian neighbors that share the lake with us.
Who come here and visit us a lot.
Yes,
And
yes.
they like to feel welcome
Yes.
too.
In fact, on Saturday night, I was at the Winter Saturday night.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. It was a real testament to what this city can be and what this city is becoming. And I made maybe 5 or 6 new friends. And guess what? They were all from Stansted.
Nice.
Yeah. And so that speaks to what I'd like to see in Newport. I'd like to see more cross-border relations with our beautiful neighbors over there.
They're family to most people here, literally family.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last 2 years when the border was shut down were really hard.
It was tough. Yes, I don't have family over there, but I did see people who were separated from family. But we're so lucky. We're one of a handful of cities in the United States that can boast living on an international lake.
Exactly.
Probably less than a handful.
Right.
And I don't know how much people really stop and appreciate the lake, just to look at it and realize how lucky we are to live here with that as our backdrop.
We are.
I
It's
know.
incredible.
Yeah.
It is incredible.
And I think that's going to be the thing. That and a vibrant downtown is going to be what really brings people to Newport. More people than are coming now.
It is hard maintaining the vibrancy downtown. I mean, businesses struggle here. And presumably you have thoughts about that. You can't wave a magic wand. But there have to be ways that we can support businesses.
And
all of us.
I think it really takes being creative.
Yeah.
It takes thinking outside the box. We are not isolated here in Newport. We have to look outside of Newport and see what other communities are doing. For example, Windsor is starting a program. They got federal and state funding to start a transportation program called the Micro Move, which is like a van Uber. And apparently it's working really well. We have that problem here that we need enhanced public transportation. And I think, if I was mayor, one of the first things I would do is get on the phone to Windsor and say, hey, tell me about how you did it, right?
Yeah.
And how's it working for you, and how can we make it work? Our situation's slightly different because we are so spread out, but we have to start somewhere.
Right.
And a lot of times that's just with a phone call to someone in a region where something is working. And
would that offer transportation to, say, St. J, which is turning into the medical hub, unfortunately, for us?
Right. And things like childcare. Let's think outside the box. There's a model that's working all over the world, not just the United States, but the world, where big employers provide childcare on site. In fact, Saturday night at the Winter Saturdays was a perfect example of that model working. Parents could bring their kids. The kids were upstairs with supervision, and the parents were downstairs having a great time. Why can't we sit at the table with the bigger employers in the city and say, hey, this might be a way to attract more employees who actually come and stay?
Yes.
So I have so many ideas,
That's
Pam.
great.
I'm bursting with them.
Are you bursting with ideas for housing, too?
Housing, that's another big one. And not just housing, but housing for everyone.
Right.
Affordable housing, senior housing. My heart broke when I saw that we are losing a nursing home.
That's awful, awful.
And these people are having to be relocated. And this stage of their life is not when they should be separated from family. This is when they should be united with family. And I actually have a meeting with the gentleman who runs that nursing home that's been forced to close, because I'm curious to know
what happened.
Why?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure the problems are much bigger than me, and I'm not saying that I can solve anything, but I need information, because without good information about what went wrong and what went right,
how do you prevent it somewhere else?
And we can't move forward unless we have all the information. So, it's a lot of work to do.
It's a lot.
And I'm still excited.
That's amazing. That is
Still
wonderful,
excited.
actually.
Yeah.
It
Thank
is
you.
important.
I've had a lot of great support, and I'd just like to thank everybody who's given me encouragement, because it's not an easy thing to put yourself out there.
No, it's not. And sometimes I'm sure you're going to feel as though you have a great big target on your back, as well as one in the front.
I might. I hope not, but I might. And another thing I'd like to do is I'd like to be available maybe once a week for people to just show up and talk to me somewhere.
Like a clinic.
Yeah, like a clinic. I don't think the mayor has an office, but I'm sure in this beautiful city I can find some place to sit and welcome people to come talk to me.
I would bet any mayor would be entitled to use the council room.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I'm guessing here, but somehow I think the mayor has the power to do that. I'm not sure how much power, I mean, we're joking about power.
Of course.
But I think there are some things that a mayor can make a decision about.
Yeah.
And that would be great.
I think the takeaway is just, I want to be accessible.
Yeah.
I want people to feel valued. I want to be out, as you know, I already walk a lot around town because it's such a great place that promotes walkability.
Yeah.
It really is, and we have a great infrastructure that promotes it. So I want to be that mayor where people say, oh, there's the mayor, and they stop and talk to me. I love to talk to people. I love to hear what they have to say. I'm not always going to have an answer.
Right.
But I will always listen.
One of the mayors across the border in Ayrscliffe actually used to ride his horse around town.
Yes, I met him. You're right.
Alex.
Yeah, I do not have a horse. I have a bike.
You have a bike. That works. I mean, it's easier
thing.
to stop your bike actually and chat.
And it's cleaner. Yeah.
But you are a walker, so
I am.
People will be used to seeing you out and about. And that's a wonderful way of keeping your fingers on the pulse of what's really happening.
It is. I've had a couple of kids at Newport City Elementary where I'm a substitute teacher. They've asked me, how come you're always walking? I always see you walking. And I say, I like to walk.
It's healthy.
It's healthy for me. Yeah. And I get to say hi to people.
Yeah.
But it's funny that the kids should kind of associate that almost with something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
Why are you always walking? So I'd really like to lead by example.
Afford a car.
Yeah. It's like I do have a car. I just choose not to use it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So clearly you also have a way of addressing health concerns with people and environmental issues.
Yes.
All of which we need to pay attention to.
Those two issues are very dear to me. Without a healthy environment, we're going backwards. We're going backwards.
Right.
And I think especially with the lake, the cancerous lesions on the brown bullhead that were discovered, it's frightening. It is up to us to be stewards.
It is.
And I take that very seriously as a responsibility of being a human on this earth.
Right.
And we have to look at the future generations. I want to leave this world a better place than it is right now, and that's a really tall order. That's a really tall order. We need to work together, and we can't bury our heads in the sand anymore. We just can't. It's not an option.
Right.
And I know we have some friendly banter going back and forth here, which is always fun, but I have a very serious side when it comes to physical health for the community. Childhood obesity is a big one, and I have a real soft spot in my heart for the health of the lake and our environment.
That's great. You know, I think building a community, and our community lost a lot. It lost it after EB5. It lost a lot after COVID because we were all blown apart.
Yeah.
And building a town/community can be from the outside in or the top down and from the bottom up.
I agree.
And surely in a perfect world, they come together.
I agree. And I feel it. I'm sure you feel it, Pam, that the groundswell has begun.
Yeah.
It's after
It
the
has.
COVID and after EB5.
Yeah.
I think that groundswell is gaining momentum.
Yeah.
And I think it's my job, our job, to take that groundswell and just watch it go.
Yeah.
and nurture it instead of saying, it's a groundswell. That's scary. I like
Yes.
things the way they are. Well, you can grow and you can build a community in a positive way, and you can bring everybody along with you, and you can build people up.
Right. And when people come into a community as visitors or as new residents, it's wonderful to feel a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not just your own,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
communities have heartbeats.
Yeah,
too.
and that heartbeat is beating stronger. I mean, look at Wednesdays on the waterfront.
But those are wonderful
Oh,
events.
my
Just
gosh.
wonderful.
Again, what a testament to what this city can be and is becoming.
Yes.
And Bluffside Farm, I mean,
Yes.
how
What a
lucky are
resource.
we? Yes.
Such a resource.
And the trails, the MSTF trails, and
And
the
changes at
Northern
Prouty
Star.
Beach.
Prouty Beach.
Yes.
I just see this city going from strength to strength to strength. And, you know, we're far away from anywhere in the state. But we are going to put ourselves truly on the map. On the map. And we need Montpelier to recognize that we're here. We need more state funding.
Yes.
I feel like the state funding, it starts down there and then it just trickles. And by the time it gets here, it's almost down to nothing.
Right.
We need to go to bat for ourselves, and I'm not afraid to go to bat. I'm not afraid to shake hands and make phone calls
Right.
and say, this is what we need. This is important to our community.
Yeah. This is what the citizens of Newport have come together and said they need.
Yeah.
What are you, the state, going to do
Yeah.
about that? Because they take our taxes.
Yeah. And it's not in any kind of vitriolic way. It's
No,
just
no.
like, you know, let's work together. It always comes
Yeah.
back to that same thing, doesn't it? Let's
together.
work together.
Yes.
Everybody, from those at in
Yeah.
the municipal building to those outside the municipal building
Mm-hmm.
in the community to those within the state. Let's work together.
Right.
Build us up. Yeah.
It's interesting because one of the things that has brought people together, whether you're a baseball supporter or not, is Save the Grandstand. I mean,
Yes.
clearly, I have no history with the grandstand because I'm a true foreigner flatlander. But what that has done and what I admire about that is how it has brought really diverse people together who've already raised a lot of money.
Yeah. And how did that start?
Right.
With maybe just a couple of people saying, no, we
Right.
don't want that grandstand demolished.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that is who Newport is.
And just watching how people have pulled, and they're selling T-shirts at the farmer's market,
Yeah.
and whatever it is.
Yeah.
Putting the signs up.
yeah, the grandstand, and you mentioned the farmer's market.
Oh,
there
right.
are so many wonderful things happening in this town.
Right.
I fear that sometimes people get caught up on the negative things. And the obstacles, and of course, like any city anywhere in the world, we're going to have obstacles.
Absolutely.
And they're never going to be completely solved, but I prefer to look at the really great things that are happening. And there are too many to count, really.
And we all want to live in a place that's vibrant.
Yes, of course we do. And I hope I can bring some sort of vibrancy to the town as the mayor. I really want to be mayor. I don't know, is that
Great.
cheeky to say that, but I really
No,
want
that's
to
why
be
you're
the mayor
here
of
today, and
Newport.
it's why the other candidates will be here as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And I really hope this works out whatever way it's supposed to work
Yes.
out.
And I feel that if it doesn't work out in my favor, at least I've had a chance to
Yes.
be in the public eye and say, these are the things that I celebrate about this town, and give other people those ideas. Hey, there are so many things that we need to cherish about Newport.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, March the 7th, right?
March the 7th, yes.
Okay, thank you so much for coming
Oh,
in.
thanks,
and
Pam.
Look
I
forward
appreciate
to
the time.
seeing how this works out.
Thanks, me too.